No Man's Sky by Hello Games is scheduled for a 2015 release sometime in the second quarter we're looking at right now. Originally it was the first quarter, but it's been delayed. It's listed as a PlayStation 4 exclusive.
Right, and then it's going to come out for PC a little bit later.
Hmm. It's a game.
Yeah, it's a game.
Got it.
It's going to be, yeah. So the way the story went, they were going to be a PC game, and then the PlayStation Sony went and contacted them and wanted some exclusivity for the release.
All right, so it's just going to be PlayStation at first.
Yeah, PlayStation at first, and then so the master race can say that we're just testing it for when it comes to computer.
I see. I'm not impressed. So it's a game. Is it gonna be a good game?
I think it has a lot of potential from what they've shown. They really haven't explained what's gonna be the satisfying part of it. Like, I understand that you're going to be exploring and trying to go to the center of the universe, but I'm not sure if it's going to end up being basically it's going to be a single player game at first. So is it going to be fun playing that game by yourself is the question. And I'm not completely sure if that's going to be true or not. I think I'll enjoy it, but I don't know if it's going to be a mass appeal type game.
Yeah, and if the whole basis is exploring, I think I might be instantly not impressed because every exploring game ultimately installs a quick travel function. So if like your whole basis of this is like, well, go ahead, fart around, get there when you get there. What are you gonna do though? Like, it's a shooter? Is it a shooter?
It's I don't think that the shooter aspect's going to be a big deal. It's going to be finding, like, landing on a planet, finding the resources you need to upgrade your suit or your plane so you can go farther in. And I mean, as far as being exciting, I think it's going to be very dependent on the community. If the community starts sharing planets that they've found and say, hey, look at this planet, it looks crazy. And look at this alien I found, it looks crazy. I think that's
Oh, like, hey, check out all this awesome level and character design. Is that what you're getting at?
right. It's going to be take a look at this planet that I found, and then you've named it and you own it. Like, forever, it'll be the planet that you found. Then other people could start sharing. I think that's going to be the beginning of the community because they won't be playing together to start. And then they said that they're going to eventually have true multiplayer if I think that's dependent if the game's successful and if they can afford to keep pumping things into it. But yeah, at first it's just going to be an exploration game. You're going to go from planet to planet and sell resources to buy a better plane or jet or whatever you want to call it, spaceship, and then you're going to be finding more resources to improve your suit, and then that's going to be the basic point of the game at first.
So like, hey, check out my suit and check out this planet I found.
You won't even be able to see your own suit, so that's interesting.
What's the point of upgrading it then?
Like, there's things that'll be like you can get a jetpack or you can survive in harsher climates and things like that. Which, right, and that's just the game mechanics, but there is like what happened to when games could just be I like this game because I'm exploring this world. When did mechanics what become more important than the actual idea of exploration and finding cool things?
Tetris, I believe, was somewhere around maybe Pong. I think Pong may have kicked off the whole playing this game for the fun
Right.
of it is why you play.
But this game gives you the opportunity to find things that no one, like including the people who made the game, have never seen. When you go to a planet, no one's seen it. That's the first time it's been rendered in 3D is the time that you make it render in 3D.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. They've said, and this is the main selling point of this game from everything I've heard, is that almost everything is procedurally generated.
So Diablo.
Right.
Diablo
That's what it sounds like to me. Or Minecraft.
Right.
But we already have Diablo and Minecraft.
Right, but you have a universe where it's far greater. I mean, you could argue that Diablo, every time you go in, it's randomly generated, therefore there's an infinite potential. But even Diablo, the levels follow some rules. There's going to be entrance and exit and a certain boss at a point in the game where...
I mean, I hope they do that in No Man's Sky too, because if it's just here's another boundless world with randomly generated creatures and items, like, okay,
Yeah, I mean that's once again that's very true. We're going to have to actually enjoy going to these planets and seeing new things. But yes, it's procedurally generated. The parts that aren't procedurally generated, like there's specific points in the universe that they have to have pre-located. But other than that, everything is based on rules. Like they have the Goldilocks zone where like everything's perfect for life, and it'll follow rules like that. But other than it's all random. Like they said that most of the planets aren't even going to be inhabited. It'll just be for resource collecting.
And okay. Oh wait, is this so? This is like just a game where they cut out all that other crap and they're like, "Hey, just grind." That's it.
You could see it as grinding, or you could see it as being an explorer. But
Oh.
there's also other options. You can be
So it's
pure
like
combat where you're blowing ships out of the sky, or you can be a trader where you're just trying to take resources from one area to the next to make more money.
so it's like spending all day looking at deviant art and then when you find something awesome you share it on Facebook?
That could, yes. I mean, that's going. I see that's how it's going to start before the community actually can work together. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be your personal experience shared with others.
Huh.
As far as the community goes, they've put out that it's going to be the same universe for everyone.
Right, which gives it a great potential. Right now, it doesn't really matter because you're just going to be. There's not a lot of interaction. For example, if you kill a monster on a planet, that monster will still be there on the other person's planet. So while everyone's sharing the same universe, you're not immediately affecting each other. So, but later on, if they develop it, you could have a Eve like scenario where everything that happened in the universe is shared, and they all share the same story, which would be very interesting because you have the history of No Man's Sky, and everyone would have the same story to tell, rather than multiple servers were like, on this server this happened to me, and on that server this happened to me. Like it's everything happened to everyone.
Okay, I was gonna so server. Everyone shares a server because I was trying to think like what multiplayer game does everyone not share the same universe?
It'd be like World of Warcraft, where like you have different shards or servers, so
But it's still everyone sharing it and like
right groups
know.
of people. But there's not going to be, which I'm not sure when it goes to PC if that's going to be the case. Like there might be a separate PC server. I haven't really seen anything about that. But yeah, so everyone, like, you won't find a planet that was discovered by someone on one server and discovered by someone else on a different server. That's your planet for everyone to see.
Got it. Okay. So is there a story to it?
The story is very, like, there's no one going to sit there and tell you the story, but you can, based on things you see and artifacts you find, you can. They've even said that they're interested in see what story that is assumed from what, like, because they have a story in their mind, but maybe there might be a fan fiction spinoff where people have like conspiracy theory, like, oh, I found this. Does that mean this?
So
thing.
this has the potential to spawn just reams of erotic fiction, is what you're getting at.
Well, since the only thing you'll see other than co-players is animals, I hope it's not erotic fiction because it'll just be erotic fiction about animals seen.
I've seen the internet, man. It's there.
But yeah, I think that the fact that it's one server gives a potential for later on. But the other question is, if they do try to go true multiplayer, can it support all being on one server?
Wait, hold on. So you said that everyone plays in the same universe. And then you say if they go true multiplayer, and it just occurred to me, I have no idea what the hell you mean by that then.
Well, they haven't really elaborated, but like I said, for example, everything you do on a planet won't be seen by everyone else. There's usually one thing you can do, like if you eradicate, they said if you kill an animal, that animal will still exist on the other guy's, another person's playing it. But if you eradicated a whole race of animals, that could affect, and he could see that. So it'll be interesting to see how connected the community feels if you're not actually affecting everything with each other. Like, you know, you could say, oh, I killed that gigantic dinosaur that was on that planet, like if there's only one, but on another guy's server he could be like, well, it's still here. So did you really have an effect on the universe that way?
Ah,
I,
wow.
I would assume that there are a number of servers in play at any given time, but that they're working to make the transition between servers seamless. So it appears to be one continuous world.
Hmm.
Right. The information will be shared, but yeah, you'll be playing on different servers. That's for sure.
And we will see how they work that out with loading screens, because for travel on this scale, there's going to be, a warp speed or a wormhole of some sort.
And that's what I wonder is like I should confess, like, for one, I've seen very little promotional material for this, and for two, the last time I was a PC gamer, like Quake 3 was it. Quake 3 and maybe some Soldier of Fortune, which was terrible but violent. So I'm super noobified here. So is there like an evil empire? Is that what everyone's up against? Are there
Right. There is a entity that is trying to maintain balance in the world. So if you start trying to eradicate all the animals, they'll come attack you. If you try to take too much ore, like it's basically a way to keep the game balanced. So like you'll have to fight against like they haven't gotten a great, but they look like they're a robot race and they'll be the ones regulating. So if you try to attack a space station, like they'll come in and try to attack you.
So there's space stations. Are these like Death Stars? Are they procedurally generated space
Yeah,
stations?
they're procedurally generated. The biggest interaction I've seen for those is that you can buy any ship that's currently landed at the space station. So you'll go there and you won't have any specifics, but based on the design of the ship, you'll know because they have three categories. There's explorer, trader, and fighter. Those are like the three major classes of ships. Not that you'll have a class system, but you can look at the ship once you get playing long enough and understand what type of ship it is, and then you purchase it, and then it'll have certain attributes like how many guns it can hold and things like that.
But what you get is randomly generated?
Right, the ships are randomly generated. So like the way you get a new ship is you find a randomly generated ship that you like on a space station, or
That sounds like the worst thing ever.
It's
I'm
kind of
sorry.
like people.
Very,
All
okay.
people are randomly generated. You just have
Yeah.
to choose the one that you want to spend time with.
Yeah, okay. You got it. All right. You know what? When you put it that way, no, it sounds even better.
and that gives you another potential to share. Like someone's like, "Oh, look at this cool ship I found," and then no one else could have it.
Huh. I don't know, man. All right.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be your own special snowflake. Is the point, I guess? Like you'll be the only person who's seen these planets, and the only person who's seen these animals, the only person that has this starship. So you won't feel like you're doing the same thing everyone else did.
We know from information that's been put out that everyone starts in their own solar system, and that this game contains multiple galaxies.
Right. So when you start your own solar system, you could have the best planet ever that has all the resources you need to move on with life, or you could start on some.
Why move on then?
They said that there's going to be no fun in staying in one planet. They've mentioned that. They said that you're going to.
I'll be honest, I don't hear a lot of fun at all. Like, there'll be no fun staying in one planet, but you can go look at other things no one's seen,
Right.
and then share it with people.
Christopher Columbus. That's what you're an explorer finding new worlds.
Yeah, except that you will not be able to commit genocide because a robot version of the police from Grand Theft Auto will attack you.
Right.
So as far as the point of the game or why you would move from one place to another, the game's creators have had very limited contact with the press. They've only said enough that they need to say to gain interest, but after that, they want the game to be discovered by the players. And so, it's hard to say really how this game is going to take shape. But there appears to be an objective. And it's been stated that the objective is to get to the center of the universe.
Huh. Even though there is no center
For
to the
some,
universe.
Yeah.
there is to this universe,
Right.
supposedly. I don't know. That is a question that I've had as well. So they've advertised that this world is truly infinite. And so, in which direction is the center? How do you even know where you are?
Right. As far as the center is concerned, they said that'll also give, for people who don't want an infinite game, it will actually give you closure. Like if you get to the center and beat the game, you'll actually have some sort of closure to the game, but you can also continue. Like he said where some people will think that's the end of the game, a lot of people will think that that's the beginning of the game.
New game plus?
Yeah, very ambiguous statement.
Yeah. Man.
But he said he didn't like games that have no ending, so he wanted to give a true ending to the game, and that's what will be at the center of the universe.
I see.
I'm wondering how that plays into the multiplayer aspect. Like if you're on the same universe and you beat the game, what does that mean for everybody else?
Right. Well, they treat it almost as if the internet doesn't exist. Like they're like, oh, you won't be able to see what you look like. No one will know what, like, because they reference that you might not be human, but they say you won't be able to see what you look like until someone else sees you, and like you'll never actually see what you look like until you see someone else. And you're like, oh, I guess that's what I look like. But as soon as one person finds another person, it's going to be on YouTube. So, but a lot of the things they reference, they act like it's not going to be shared. It's just going to be like your own. Like basically, you have to turn off the internet to really enjoy the findings of this game.
Wait, I don't. It sounds like you said you have to strip away what enjoyment you could find to. Or are you saying turn off the internet? Like, hey, don't go to YouTube to
Right.
find that first contact video because.
Right, because it could, like when they act like when the first time you see another player, you're going to be impressed. Like you're like, oh, is this what I look like? So, and he's mentioned multiple times, but I think that it's going to be known first thing. Like as soon as two friends know where they are in the galaxy, they're going to try to run to each other to be the first ones to show that.
Yeah, I just wondered, do they team up and like pal around the galaxy now, or do they
The way they describe it, there's
shoot first?
you'll see the person, but it'll look like an NPC. Like you won't really know, like like when they're shooting animals, I don't even think you'll see that. Like because like he said before, like if they kill an animal, you won't see it. So all you'll know is that there's a person on that planet with you and that they're walking around. But I don't think there'll actually be any interaction to start until they introduce that part.
Well, and if everyone starts in their own solar system and there are multiple galaxies, like is there material saying the scope of these galaxies? Like our galaxy has like 400 billion stars.
They said if you played for 1 million hours, you will have seen a fraction of a % of the universe.
That sounds terrible. Like what about those of us who are completionists? Am I going
This
to
isn't
die
the game for
playing
you
this?
then.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could see it as everyone working together to complete the galaxy. Like, because think of in-game, like if this game's successful and then 2 years later people are still playing it, they're going to be hunting places that haven't been seen. Like that'll be like you'll be like, oh, no one's seen this. And then I assume if once what they call conventional multiplayer comes in, there'll be hubs where people will see each other. But they said right now if like there's 30 people on the planet, you only see 4 of them. There's going to be a limit to that.
Oh well. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, the idea of creating a universe that you can explore is super impressive to me, and I'd love to see it. But like, well, why not put all 30 there?
I assume it's just server limits and
Yeah.
I mean, well, interesting for this game, I feel like they skipped steps. Like they could have had a procedurally generated world, and that would have been an impressive game. Like a true Earth-sized world where people could explore, all procedurally generated, and that would have been an interesting game. Or a solar system, but they've went far beyond that, and they went with a universe, and that's like they feel like they've skipped some steps. Like it should have built up to a universe, but now like we're starting with a universe, and it's just going to be a huge scope.
How do the planets compare in size to our planet, for example?
There won't be any gas giants, but there will be. So every planet you'll be able to land on, and it'll be relative size. The big difference
Size to what? Earth?
to Earth, right? There'll be different sizes of planets, but the big difference from what we're used to is to go from the planet to space is going to be a shorter distance, and the planets will be closer together than normal for fun reasons. Like you don't want to actually travel from Earth to Pluto, so like the planets will be closer together, and the actual distance from ground to space will be smaller, just for gameplay speed.
Huh. That's so. If your planet is, if we're really talking about the size of Earth, does that mean that, like, say you decided to walk around the planet, If you ditch your ship, you're going to be walking for years.
Right. I assume so. I mean, they said they're Earth-sized planets, so but I'm not sure. I think there's going to be key hubs where like over here is the resources you want, and the rest of the planet's kind of
How do you?
just visual.
I guess I don't know really anything about creating procedural generation, but like, if you show up and that planet is randomly generated, like, the developers sure didn't choose where that hub is. What delineates a hub now?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
So,
Too
if
many big words.
everything is randomly generated, right? If it's all randomly generated, it seems to me like, well, I suppose they could design it to cluster resources in one location. But it sounds to me like either you have an unexplorable mess on your very first planet, or everything's clustered and there's no damn reason to explore the planet.
Right. They haven't really gone into detail of that. All I know is each planet's going to be. So if you land on a jungle planet, the whole planet's a jungle planet.
Like no oceans or anything, or
Right. Well, I mean, there'd be jungle and ocean, but it's not going to be
You will have ice caps, for example.
right. You'll land on an ice planet, but it won't be with a jungle planet. Like it won't be like jungle, and then when you go to the North Pole, it's ice. It'll be all jungle or all, and it. So like each planet's its own.
so they're all suffering a catastrophic greenhouse effect, but to
Or-
varying degrees.
Right. Like you could have an all lava planet or something like that, but it won't be. Which I was kind of disappointed when I found that out, because then you don't have a reason to continue to explore, because you're like, oh, it's going to look like this for the whole planet.
Yeah,
Right.
it sounds like you're by talking it out, you're slowly becoming unimpressed as well.
On the other hand, though, if the planets really were on a scale with Earth, you couldn't explore it. It really couldn't happen.
Yeah, that's the way it seems to me. Like, and even if each planet doesn't have varying climates, which makes them not very planet-like, unless they're just dead hellscapes like most of the known planets. Like, it seems to me that like this, if the entire premise of the game is exploration, but then the world they start you in is vast and seemingly infinite, but why would you bother exploring it since it's all going to be a bunch of pink jungles? Like,
Right.
I mean, that's where you get back to, like, they are very dependent on people wanting to explore. Like,
yeah. So they're like, here's
like-
this huge planet for you to explore, but you're going to get bored with it. So you better move on to the next planet that you're going to get bored with.
right. I mean, it's the same as like going to Africa to explore. Like, why would you go there? It's like, well, because I could see something interesting that no one else has ever seen. Like, this game is actually wanting you to want to explore. I don't like that's
Except not the planet you're on, because it's all the same. So you may as well stick in a 5 square mile area.
right. I mean, but instead of thinking about exploring planets, you're exploring the universe. Like each planet would be its own continent instead of like the idea that you're going from, like exploring a whole planet. Instead, you leave that planet and you go to the next one, and that's your new continent to explore, your new Africa or Antarctica.
Got it. All right. I see where you're going.
All right. They've also said that in every solar system, there is one core thing you can do, which is significant to that solar system.
Right, and that's the
What
thing
is-
that everyone else will see. So
Like mini games?
it'll be like complete this, and you might get, and then that will be something you get credit for. Like
So when you say complete this,
Epion Dead has destroyed, this race of people.
So you're going to be given a task.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
task based.
Interesting.
Got it. And is there any, like, have the developers released who is tasking you? Or is that part of the act of discovery and purchasing the game?
I think the more the idea is that no one's tasking you, but they're basically saying, "Hey, if you do this, everyone will know that you did it."
Ah.
So
Yes.
for fame and infamy.
Right.
Yes.
It's your Xbox points.
In this
Mhm.
persistent universe that no one might ever find you.
Right.
All right. That makes sense.
All right. So planets in the universe. This is from The Verge. Planets in the universe will have a 10% chance of having life, 90% having no life at all. Have we heard anything about the size of a solar system?
All I know is that they're going to be smaller and than a normal solar system, just so you can travel from planet to planet faster.
I mean, as far as the number of planets, are there going to be moons that are explorable?
There are moons, and there are multiple there's like black holes, and there'll be, I think they said there'll be planets, some solar systems that have dual suns, which would be pretty cool.
It does. I've seen in a video I've seen of it, the planets themselves, the other planets in the solar systems, are closer to the planet you're standing on than our own moon is to ours, right?
Right.
So you can see this crescent of a planet in the air, where we live, at least. If you want to see a crescent planet, you have to peer through some heavy magnification to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, well, it seems, though, to retain any shred of enjoyability, though, you'd have to sacrifice a whole lot of scale. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And how far are they going with trying to make this realistic? Do we now have orbits around a central star?
Right. It'll be your, planets will be orbiting a star, and then I believe that the different the sun is what identifies what solar system you're in. Like, they'll be like, you can travel to this solar system, and it'll be the name of the sun, and like all the planets will be named like, Versa 2 or something like that, which you can rename. So it's not like you get to a sun that has no name. It'll have a name, and then you have the option to rename it.
Got it.
So you can name planets and stars.
Right, but they'll just have a name they'll already have a name, and then you can like leave
Right.
it that name. So,
And if you name it, then it's yours. You've claimed it.
right. I mean, even if you don't name it, it'll still say Versa 3 was discovered by, whoever. But they've said there'll be the option to rename, and I'm sure they have a whole bunch of filters to keep people from putting, everything be named but.
It is the internet. So
Right.
we'll see.
Right.
With regard to orbits, so the planets orbit the stars and the moons orbit the planets. With your spacecraft, then, when you approach a planet, do you park your ship in orbit and take a landing vehicle? Or is this the all-purpose space plane that's absolutely impossible?
You'll land your spaceship onto the Earth, and there's a hover option where it can just hover above the Earth, so you can. But eventually they want to have ground vehicles, so you could actually land your spaceship. And all spaceships will be single-person, small ships. They won't be like have like a battle cruiser that you're flying around in. But they said that eventually they want to have it, so you have like a vehicle that you can ride around on once you land on the planet.
Can you imagine the just awful civilization that develops interstellar travel, and then they're like, "All right, buddy, you're flying solo. Like, just you and you alone. Go out and conquer the universe."
Well, yeah, that's like, as far as storytelling, like, why is none of these planets inhabited by people? Like, they have to give you a reason.
We only know of one that's inhabited by people, or anything for that matter.
Right, so maybe that's what you find out. There is in the middle, there's that one inhabited. Maybe it's Earth. Who knows?
So is this when you start in your own solar system? Is it you are in your own solar system that has a civilization on it, and your world is filled with NPCs and towns?
No,
and
there's
stuff?
no humanoid NPCs other than the ones that you see that are actually other players. So the only time you see something humanoid is, unless it's randomly generated that way, it'll be when you see an NPC. Like they said, that you'll know that it's a person playing because they look different than everything else. They won't look like a dog or a cat. They'll look humanoid.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Current estimate is that it'll take 40 to 100 hours to get to the center of the universe. So is this going to end up being a short game after all?
Well, I mean,
100 hours, but fairly short.
Right. It's not Skyrim level gameplay, but like he said, he wanted there to be an ending for people who want to play. They don't want to play a game for 300 hours and have achieved nothing. So that's where the 40 to 100 hours comes in. Like, that's a reasonable amount of gameplay time. You get to the center, and then if you want, you can say, I played the game for 60 hours for a $60 game. I got my $1 an hour game requirement. Or you can continue to explore and make it a life game, like where you've played it for 3 or 4 years. Like they've given you both options.
All right, now, and we don't know anything about endgame content. at all.
No, they've been very secretive about it, with the assumption that no one will share it once they get there. They want every person to find it the center of themselves and have that oh my gosh moment. Like they don't. But as soon like there's a person right now who has every intention to get to the center as fast as possible, so he can be like world's first.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be a major race.
Right. And that'll be, I mean, even that type of coverage will be interesting. Like things that they found on the way. I mean, you could, in theory, Twitch stream or YouTube your whole journey, and if you're the fastest guy, someone could watch you go to the center as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm. Now, how about in the center? Say we have a limit of 4 people that you could see. How's it going to work in the center now?
Well, as right now, do
you get to a point where it becomes a competition directly, where you're fighting over something?
I don't believe so. Right now, the only competitive nature is you finding things that other people haven't. I think they've really undersold the fact that you aren't actually playing with other players, and that's going to be a disappointment. At first, they tried to play it like, oh, it's just so big you'll never see anybody. It's like, well,
right.
So I think that's going to be a hurdle they have to get over. When the first time someone sees someone else and realizes that they can't do anything with them, that's when the question is this actually a multiplayer game?
Yeah. I mean, multiplayer, it's overrated on something like this, but it does look like it's structured to be an MMO, and at least as far as your vast open world type stuff. So I don't know. I think once you see somebody and it looks like the little sparkles in Fable, it sounds like just bitter disappointment. That's not Tina.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a Dodge Avenger.
My bad.
Right, but that's when the true multiplayer comes in, where when he says real multiplayer, like, are they going to make it an MMO? And I hope they do. I hope it's an amazing experience where everyone's working together and things like that. But right now, the multiplayer aspect is just information sharing, and I'm worried that it's not even that they sold it as anything else. It's people have assumed too much, and they haven't said no. So people are going to go and it's like, oh, I can't wait to hang out with my friend on this planet, and then they'll be like, oh, we're not doing anything.
Have you each played the game Journey by chance?
I have not.
I have played Journey.
All right, so there's a multiplayer aspect to this game, right? It's a single player journey, but there is an element of multiplayer. And I don't know. I wonder if maybe you get to the end and you do the last thing, and now you become the white robed figure.
Oh, that would be. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a point where it's No Man's Sky 2.0, where it's going to be everyone played this game, and then with all the demands for multiplayer, there'll be No Man's Sky 2.0, where they'll talk about like, oh, remember when we couldn't see each other, and then post multiplayer.
And it goes free to play, and everyone just buys randomly generated goodies.
Well, it's freemium, so you pay once anyways, and then it's free. So that's an interesting point. I wonder how they're going to justify making any additional changes if everyone's just paying for it once.
You're saying you spend your $60 on the game and then you got it?
Right.
Okay.
So how, would they have to justify the fact that they could bring more people in, or would they have to go if it morphed into an MMO, which would be interesting? I wonder if they would have to get some sort of have to pay one-time fee, or if you had to pay for a subscription if it changed to an MMO.
Wait, just to settle this for me. So is what I call buying a game, is that freemium now?
Right. There's
For most games.
Yeah, freemium is the buy once and then don't buy anything more. And then there's free to play with microtransactions, and then there's a subscription. Those are the three major the majority of MMOs are actually free to play, and then your World of Warcraft is subscription, and then your what is it? I can't remember. But yeah, if you pay once, and then all you're paying for is the next expansion, that's freemium.
Really? Okay. So like, Battlefield is a freemium game because you pay $60 and you have Battlefield. I call that buying a game.
Right.
That's totally not relevant to what you're getting at. though.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Weird.
Yeah. Oh, Guild Wars. That's a good example. Guild Wars, you buy the game for $60 and then you don't pay for anything until the next Guild Wars expansion comes out.
Yeah.
That's freemium.
That's buying a game.
Yeah. It has to have its own name now.
Word.
All right, so you're saying that No Man's Sky falls under the freemium category.
Right.
Because it won't actually be multiplayer.
Yeah. I mean, like the freemium is more when people are trying to distinguish different MMO types.
Okay. So as it stands, though, with it not being truly multiplayer,
It's just a game that you paid.
Just a game.
You paid $60
Got it.
for. Like you wouldn't really have to qualify it as a freemium or not.
Okay, so since I don't play MMOs, I don't play freemium games. I just play games.
You just play games that
Okay,
you bought.
and I just
Yeah.
buy them. Okay,
Right.
got it.
Good to know. Okay, so in this game, you will have possible upgrades. You're suggesting this will not be for real money. Is that right?
Right. It's all going to be. There is currency, but you'll also need specific. From what I understand, you'll need specific elements to upgrade your suit. So it's not just you're trying to pay money to upgrade your suit. You'll need so much. Well, also it's not going to be like iron and stuff like that. They have their own chart or what's the word? I'm losing my mind.
Periodic
Yeah.
table.
Their own periodic table. So they've made their own elements, and it's smaller than a normal periodic table.
You know, I'm so glad that in the world we live in, like, if I want to go buy some shit, I just go buy it, as opposed to, like, go scrounge up materials and then go to the store, like, hey, can you fabricate this for me? I've brought the money and materials. Like, that would just be a bummer.
Right, like that's what we consider fun gameplay now is like the hard stuff people had to do back in the day. Like,
Yeah. Frontier living.
right.
I wonder if
Okay.
that means you get to die of diarrhea at 35 in the game, too. Like, that'd be pretty badass.
No.
Space diarrhea.
If you die, I think you go like you can die. If you die, you're still on the planet that your ship's on because you only have one ship. So when you die, it's like I wonder what happens if you lose your ship. If someone's like going to have like 20 hours of gameplay because they don't remember where they parked their ship. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some sort of icon pointing the direction of your ship, or hopefully, or otherwise, like I've played 20 hours and I just forgot where I parked my car.
That is something that worries me, is because they've said that if you wander from your ship, you will have to walk back to it. There's no transport back to ship.
Right? They were going to have like a whistle that you could call and then the ship would come to you like the Batmobile, but they got rid of that. So
Because nobody likes Batman.
right.
Yeah. Well, that's how it works for drones these days. Like the little helicopter drones.
Oh, yeah, like if they lose signal, they automatically
Yeah.
come back home.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So how hard could that be for a spaceship?
Right. Like in the future they can't do that, but we can do it now.
I mean, they
Yeah.
didn't say it's the future, did they? Is this game set in the future?
It's
Or is it?
I think it's a long time ago.
yeah.
Ah, see?
Galaxy
So-
far away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that could be its own genre of like videos is like Twitch stream. I've lost my ship. Someone please help me find it.
Okay. Well, it's not going to work so well if everyone's light years away from it.
Right.
That's true. Communications in and of themselves would take, years to make it to you.
Mm-hmm.
It would be cool if they included a breadcrumb path that you could drop, so you could but there's like an increased chance that animals will find the breadcrumbs and track you down. So have risk reward system put in place. We haven't gone over the portals yet, have we?
Portals.
No.
Explain these portals.
So certain planets will have portals that you can go through, but you can't bring your ship with you. So you can go in, and inside those portals will be somewhere else in the universe, and they'll be possibly rich with resources. So you go through the portal, you might be in a sand dune area, and then you walk through, and then you'll be in a lush jungle with high resources, but you don't have your ship. So you can adventure in there and find what you need, but you can't. It won't be a way to like advance to a different part of the galaxy because your ship's on the other side.
But you still get like the Fallout or Skyrim mega backpack, right? So you can still carry 400 pounds of goods and services with you.
Right. Yeah, they haven't really gotten into a lot of detail, but they said that you don't have a backpack, but you have a bank. So I think it's like I don't think you're going to max out on resources and have to go back to your ship to sell or anything like that.
Okay. Well, man, inventory management. Like when you talk about this game, how it's you aren't really doing stuff. You just have to explore for a long time. You may as well throw in some inventory
if
management.
you've lost your ship for 20 hours and you're just collecting resources until you find your ship again, it'd be horrible if you maxed out as well.
Dude, that's how I got through Oblivion and Skyrim. Is like walk everywhere and pick all the flowers.
Yeah, I think it's going to have some Skyrim feel to it. The way like you well, I don't even know if you collect, you just scan and it gives you the resources. So
You know, the one thing though is that Skyrim had brilliantly designed environments, designed deliberate environments.
yeah, but I mean, Skyrim is smaller than one of the planets in this. So
The next Skyrim is going to be using this engine.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Exactly.
We all know that.
When this game turns out to be sadly for all its ambitions, just no fun at all for anyone to play, like it'll be the Unreal 2015 engine.
yeah, someone will make a better game out of it.
Yeah, gritty Space Marines left and right.
Well, yeah, we were talking about that. If they could have everything randomly generated so they save money on that, but then find certain planets and construct a city with NPCs walking around, that would be very interesting and preferred.
Yeah, it might. That could add a layer of fun,
Right.
perhaps. Is
In
that the word?
storytelling and quest giving. But then, I mean, if it's an infinite universe, then you're asking people to go to a certain part of that infinite universe. So what's the use of it being infinite? I mean, they could hide Easter eggs on some planets. That'd be interesting, like a Joe Danger planet where it's just
Well,
a bunch of Joe Dangers running around.
How does the Eve universe compare?
It's obviously smaller, but
It's finite.
it's finite. But it's has such a low player base that people operate with their own world. Like everything's happening to you. You don't know what's happening on the other side of the universe. And then, so there's like multiple stories being told where you're over here being a space pirate, but over in another sector, they're all working together to gather resources. So you have a feel of everything being together, but you don't know what's happening in other places.
But there are places in the Eve universe that are
Right.
considered strategically important.
Yeah, there's central trading hubs. I think there's
Are these created by the game, or
Right.
is that what people have
Yeah,
determined?
everything in that game was created by people, and it's really open space and some planets that you can't really land on. But there'll be central trading hubs that are in the high sec, which is high security. So that's where people comfortably trade without worrying about their ships being blown out of the sky, which would be, I mean, that's what the center of the universe could be for this game. So just have one hub in the center of the universe where everyone goes to meet. But then the whole question is like, how far do you travel out and travel back in? And when the center of the universe be the only place people played if you only made one hub?
I mean, that as opposed to a game that seems designed around, well, you better go to the next place because this one's kind of boring. I mean, and ultimately you want to get to that center there, which is, randomly going to blow your mind.
Right. I mean, it's adventure and player development. You are making your player better and adventuring. It's going to be an adventure game, and it's like if that does not interest you, this game might not be for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the adventures, though, would be, I'm going to the snowy mountains, and there are snowy mountain animals there, as opposed to a tropical fish flying through the sky once you arrive on the mountaintop.
Yeah, you get both though. You'll have a snowy mountain with snowy animals, and then another planet you have your tropical fish flying through the sky. I mean, all that will be available.
Yeah. And I guess, real planets don't have varied climates about them. Maybe I'm too pessimistic about this, but I don't know, man.
I mean, this is the first game of its type. It really is. So there is going to be a limitation to what they could achieve with their budget.
So you made a pretty bold claim right there. What type is this the first of? Like, can you describe that type to me?
An infinite universe. There's no game that does that.
Oh, whatever. Big worlds of, I think at the beginning of every new expansion in game size, it's a relatively infinite universe. That's not a type of game. That's a description of the randomly generated surroundings.
which
Diablo had an infinite universe, really. If you played it over, it was not the
Well,
same places.
right, but it was the same looking dungeon with the same type of. This will be each planet
a
looks
good
totally
point.
different.
Those
So
were based on consistent rules relevant to the storytelling. That's a very good point. Not just randomly generated.
right, the game is more. I think it's going to be dependent on what the players want. I hope what their plan is to have players get into the universe, find things that they prefer to do, and find things that they don't like, and then they can start working on making the things people like to do better, and the things that they don't like to do kind of edit out. But it's going to be complicated to edit. Sean Murray, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Told that story where they had a video ready for EA where like some gazelles are going to go over a hill, and then some guy edited a ship, and it caused the planet to completely change its structure. So it'll be interesting. Like once they release the game, how are they going to be able to fix bugs without sending ripples throughout the universe?
Yeah, especially even if they make their own little developer universe that they can experiment on, they can bug check something in the developer side, which has all been randomly generated based on the developers, exploration habits. So like, oh yeah, it works fine here, but the lava planet in the human universe turns into just, I don't know, it explodes
Right.
when they finally decide that fish don't fly.
Yeah, this game, I feel there's a high chance for a very high imbalance. Like you might find some random ship that's perfect, and like you don't need to find another ship for the rest of the game. And then for a while you'll feel like you're on top of the world. You'll also feel like you've lost some of the gameplay because you don't need a better ship.
Yeah, on an infinite number of planets, it's a statistical guarantee that somebody will have the perfect scenario,
Right.
and somebody will have the worst case scenario. All of that's going to be out there.
Yeah, I could imagine you. Well, I guess you don't have to come home from the store anymore, but like your download finally completes and the game installs, and you're all fired up to try No Man's Sky, and then you spawn on our moon, like
Right.
just nothing.
Right. This is a ship, and then you, and like
Yeah.
you don't have any fuel to get anywhere. Like
Welcome to our persistent, permanent universe. This is where you start.
If it truly is random, that's a possibility. You might just be stuck.
yeah, I wonder. I mean, I'm sure they have some rule where planets you spawn on have to have enough resources to get off the planet.
Right. Oh,
Or-
so the planets are random, but they'll choose one to start you on that has a certain number of conditions met.
Yeah. Or the ship already starts with a full tank, so you can at least leave the planet that you're on.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm still curious how we're going to get out of the solar system.
True. I'm super excited. I mean, all of these possibilities in this game seem really awesome. And then there are just certain aspects that it's like they're taking some of the excitement out of space travel by simplifying it to the extent to make it a playable game that may or may not be playable.
In the back of my head, I have a worry that we're getting Peter Molyneux, where we're getting promises that aren't going to be fulfilled. And like when we get there, like it's less random than it seemed. And then you're like, oh, so you're kind of just led us astray. But
That's part of the question, though. How much have they really promised? And how much have we promised ourselves?
right, that's true. He apologizes for the game already before it's even released. Like, I hope you like it. It should be fun. I think it's fun, but he's not saying this is going to be the greatest game you've ever played.
I feel like I can almost guarantee that I will not be disappointed by it because I am not sold on the concept whatsoever.
Well, you don't have a PlayStation either. So
That's true.
You need
yeah.
to work on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple years.
Please do not buy an Xbox One. I beg of you.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm gonna decide to be a loyalist Xbox fanboy and buy one to spite
Bill
you.
saw 5 minutes of Xbox One. Were you impressed?
No. I mean, I don't own any systems personally, but I'm a PlayStation fan.
Mm.
It's
Just going off past.
the Xbox One is currently tragic, in my opinion.
Is it?
And this isn't coming out for Xbox
Yeah.
One. Well, as of now, we'll see.
Well, I mean, they've announced PC, so
Right.
You would assume that it's only a matter of time.
Right. It was it
until
was
Xbox.
originally going to be a PC game.
Well, I think Microsoft, with the promises they're making for Windows 10, is planning on working around all of this. Like, I think Microsoft wants to be able to stream titles to your Xbox so that now your Steam library is accessible in your living room. Is
Yeah.
it's going to come down.
Kind of like a Steam box.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
there you go. If someone was going to do that,
Is there a particular spaceship that you would want to find a random generated copy of that looks just like I'm thinking like the ship from Firefly would be Serenity from Firefly.
Good
would
luck
be
with
cool.
that. From what I've seen, it looks like they're all very small, single person
Right.
vessels.
yeah. And I think that in making your starship a little airplane, you take out what's so awesome about leaving the surface of a planet and getting from place to place. Like, it looks to me like you just glide through space and then glide down to the planet and glide back, and it doesn't take the dramatic realities of actually doing this, right? Like, when you're a couple hundred miles off the planet, you have to be moving 15,000 miles per hour, right? In order to do that, and you can't land at 15,000 miles per hour, and that acceleration and slowdown offers an opportunity for something incredible and unplayable.
Yeah, I wonder if you can wreck your ship. And if you do wreck your ship, how do you get another ship? Or if it's just indestructible, like you can run straight into a planet. Or if it takes
Mhm.
over. They probably have like an autopilot feature, like as soon as you're going to run into a planet. They did say that the ship will get wear and tear. So if you keep the same ship, you'll have more damage showing up on it. That'd be like you can have like memories of it when it was nice and shiny.
Well, we know that the ships have shields, like something out of Star Wars. There's like or Star Trek even.
Right.
The invisible force.
Yeah, they said that the combat's going to be pretty easy. It's not like that's not the point of the game, so they're not going to have like complicated combat. It's just going to be fun,
Yeah.
arcadey combat.
That playing part doesn't really need to be fleshed out. When your worlds are randomly generated, I don't know, man. Like you're like, oh, you go from world to world and mine resources so you can upgrade your suit and your guns and your frickin' laser beams, but all the combat's easy anyway. Because what do you want to upgrade that stuff for? To make it better?
To get to the center of the universe.
Yeah. I
I
don't-
mean, it's-
Obviously, yeah. Okay, so a list of upgrades as published by Game Informer: shields, laser beams, plasma shot, shot rate, torpedoes, wing design, hull, which allows you to land in toxic environments, engine speed, hyperdrive, cargo space, and cloaking.
Cloaking would be, I would think it'd be more explorer specific. Like you have an exploring ship, you'd have like a cloaking device, so you can not have to engage in combat. But if you want to like find,
So that all the other players you can't interact with also can't see you.
Right.
yeah, I mean, just the thought of like having to upgrade so you can land on a toxic planet. But do you need to land on the toxic planet? Can you just move on to a non-toxic planet?
Well, if you were going to farm a material that's radioactive,
Oh yeah,
then you might need
Like the-
protection from that.
right. Like all the resources for your next upgrade will only be on toxic planets, so you have to get the previous upgrade. It'll be like a step.
Oh, that,
possible.
that sounds like just arbitrary leverage from the developer side to force you to see different environments. Like, oh, this is only available on the surface of Venus. Now you have to fly through sulfuric
You
acid.
basically described every game mechanic in every game. Like you have to.
Most games, though, don't claim to offer you unlimited awesome sauce, right?
The two arguments are completely separate. You have an infinite universe, but every game says you have to accomplish this to get to the next level. Like that's the point of games. Like this is the way it is. Like Mario, you had to get from to the castle to go into the castle. I mean, it's that's how games work. Like they didn't just say, "I would like to go to the castle, please," and warp you there. So
Actually, I don't know if you play Mario, but you can warp pretty much
straight to
directly
level 8.
there.
Yeah,
That's right.
so- yeah, but yeah, I mean, the point of game is to have an achievement that you've done. I mean, like you can argue about what makes a game, but the point of game is to achieve something. So in this one, you're achieving to be able to explore more and go to the center of the universe. I mean, that's the mechanic, I guess, if you want to say.
So you explore to explore.
To explore.
Right.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
It looks
For
beautiful.
being randomly generated or procedurally generated, seems to have high detail. I'm
Yeah.
interested if there's gonna be a plan that's just a mess because it got messed up and they can't do anything about it.
Yeah. I mean, but great graphics makes great games, right?
Yeah.
So
You land on a planet, it's just shoulder to shoulder dinosaurs, and that's all it is. You can't,
yes.
It does worry me that the game has been so vague about what you actually do in the game, other than explore.
Right.
But I'm pretty confident that it's not going to be another Spore. Are you guys Spore players?
yeah,
I am
plays
not.
fun.
That's a dick building simulator, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. You make penises out of evolution, right?
Right.
Okay. I'm familiar with it.
Spore's end game. Is that what you mean? Like how the beginning of the game showed promise, and then when you got to the end game, you realize it's a boring game, and you're just
Well, so the problem, the thing that we have learned from the Spore hype is if a game advertises itself for one specific reason, which is not related to gameplay, that's what you're gonna get, and that's all you're gonna get. At least in the case of Spore, because they had the whole character builder thing. You could make an infinite number of characters, kind of like what we're talking about here. But when you play the game, it essentially comes down to a gameplay which at that time was equivalent to a internet flash game, or nowadays would be a phone game. It was 4 or 5 levels of that.
Right.
You start off as a single celled organism, and you evolve yourself up. Or I think it was single cell. I don't know, but you evolve yourself up to a spacefaring civilization. But the problem with that was there were huge jumps at every step of evolution. So the game broke down to maybe 5 different levels.
right. There's 5 mini games more or less.
Right, 5 mini games, but there's no actual game.
Right. No, I agree.
And the game, it ended up, the only thing that came out of that was the character creator, which only has so much staying power.
Yeah.
But I'm confident it's not going to be that bad.
right. Like you're saying, for this game, they promise an infinite universe, and you're worried that it is an infinite universe, but there's nothing else.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I've seen enough to know that there will be more than point and click.
yeah. I mean, these are the guys who made Joe Danger, so they get fun. They understand. Like
Mhm.
Joe Danger is just a game of fun. So I'm not worried that they don't understand what fun is. Where Spore seemed to have forgot what fun was.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if they're being mysterious because they really don't. They want it to be an experience, or if they're being mysterious because there's no content. That's a good question.
Yeah, they bet the house on this, and damn it, they're going to release it.
Yeah.
So maybe if we don't tell them anything, they'll buy it.
My gut feeling is that it is going to be a fun game. I have no justification
Right.
to say why, but because of so little content that we've been given. But I mean, I could play a game where I just fly around a planet that looks cool, and then fly to the next planet that looks cool, and I could do that for probably 100 hours, and I'd be completely happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see the next planet.
Do you see yourself playing? Because they had said 40 to 100 hours to get to the center of the universe. Do you see yourself closer to the 100-hour mark?
I do. I think.
You're not in a rush.
Right. I'm going to take my time, like, because I'm not going to be the first one to the middle. So there's
Right,
no reason.
that's
There's no reason to rush. And I do see myself not playing it very much past 100 hours if it's just more adventuring. Like, I think I will eventually get burnt out. But if there's a reason, like if I can hang out with a friend and we can go mine together and just have a casual conversation while we're mining, I would thoroughly enjoy that. Like, go fishing. Oh man, if there was a fishing.
What could
game.
happen at the end of the game or at the center of the universe that would just fill you with rage and disgust?
If you got to the center of the universe and that you, like he was talking about the game +1, where like you get to the center and then you spawn on the outside of another universe or the same universe in a different spot with the same gear.
Oh, so it's like Call of Duty. You get the
Yeah.
prestige level.
Yeah, you prestige, and then like you're
Right.
just trying to see how fast you can get to the center and over and again
Yeah.
from a different location. I can't imagine them doing that because it'd be, I mean, the rage videos would be funny to watch. Like
Yeah.
what? Like it'd be like the Patriots beating the Seahawks rage videos, but I don't know what he can mean by some people will think it's the beginning of the game. Like I'm interested to see what that all means. Like maybe
You'll be injected with a drug that induces amnesia and teleports you back to.
right. I mean that's
A
what
new random
prestiging
planet.
is, right? Like, would you like to randomly start over again? Well, yes, I would.
How about if the game flashes a sequence of lights on your screen and it actually causes you to forget
that you play the game?
the gameplay, yeah, and then you just play it again.
Right.
It's like you watch a great movie and you say, "Oh, I wish I could watch that again for the first time."
Yeah.
Maybe it does that.
It
You
would-
never know.
It would then become the only game you'd ever need to buy.
Yeah, it's like the Jawbreaker thing.
Yeah, the 100 hours you spent getting there compels you to play and play and play, but you don't know why. Something's waiting.
Right. I think they did something similar in that Stephen King movie. What was it called? Not the Langoliers. The one with the green magic alien devices. Anyway. All right. There's a terrible movie from way back when.
With Roddy Piper,
I don't know who was in it.
like the epic fight scene.
No.
Oh, okay.
Not that one.
God, I'm trying to think. Yeah, when you're like that terrible Stephen King movie,
Right. That's almost all of them except for The Shining.
Thinner was all right.
I like
Thinner
him.
was okay. Thinner at the very least. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's a whole different topic. But yeah. Okay. Not all players, and this is also from Game Informer. Not all players start on equal terms. Some starting planets will be harsh. Some will have rare resources. And so, if your goal is to race to the center, let's just cross your fingers.
Since it auto saves, I wonder if you'd have to completely delete the game to be able to start it on a different planet.
Right.
Like,
Well, how about if you wanted to play with your wife and like on the same PS4, on the same account? Can you just switch? How many accounts can you have?
I think it would be just one account per game. Like I assume that's the case it will be because they'll want to limit. If there's going to be ever a true multiplayer, they would want to limit like people stacking resources with two different characters. I assume. But
God, that's just imagine spending that $60 and you're just in a barren wasteland.
yeah, you're at work seeing the first videos pop up, and you're like, all these guys are getting hooked up and like with the best ships.
Right.
You log in, and it's just like you're running out of air. You need air, and you're like, what? No, yeah, like or like everyone else has like herbivores, and like you're just on a planet full of predators, and you're just like running away from them.
Spawn in Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay, so on these planets, we'll have crash ships, beacons, and then just various random nonsense.
Right, like the crash ships will have resources that you can collect from them, and then be the first one. Like Epion Dead found crash ship number 4. So
You know what
So
this is going to be? It's going to be the rover segments from the first Mass Effect. That's what this entire game will be.
yeah, I think without having a rover, you just have to walk the planet.
Yeah.
Like no rover. Yeah, it seemed like that's the inspiration for this game, more or less.
Yeah, they're like, wow, everyone loved this about Mass Effect so much. No one complained whatsoever. Let's just make that a whole game.
Yeah,
Right.
like why'd they get rid of it in 2? It was awesome. But they also have where you can mine from space with your ship, or you just shoot the planet up and mine, so you don't even have to like land. So
It's an interesting idea.
yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to enjoy the game if any of them are enjoyable. But that's another question: if you blow up a planet to an extent to mine, does the other person see it, or can they mine it too? That's another.
Oh, if it's Earth size, that won't even be
right.
a question.
Yeah. Like yeah, it doesn't matter because it's Earth size. Planet-sized planets. That's the idea. So
Because as we know, you cannot, from our own personal experience on this planet, you cannot eliminate a resource, right?
Right. Everything's infinite.
Right. Especially plastic in the ocean. It ends up.
Yeah.
That's true. We have plenty of that.
Okay, so everything has a name, and if you discover it first, you are credited as the person who discovers it. How big of a deal is this?
If there's no profanity filter and you turn the internet loose on it, it's a huge deal.
Right.
It will just change the entire scope of the universe
Just
if you
name-
let the internet name stuff.
Just name every planet mostly fail. Just try to get free. I mean, like, like Yahoo could like every time you name a planet Yahoo, you get
Right.
10 cents. Like that would be, if it caught on, that would be what you would see is like the Microsoft band, where
Yeah.
is it everyone named their
Oh,
game,
wow.
I'd go for that.
right? Free commercialing.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Yeah. Or like people like have their like website names, like
Hmm.
VictoriaSecret.com is the name of planets. Like, oh, I should go there.
Or call a planet like Xbox off. That's what I'm gonna call my planets.
Yeah, Xbox off.
No, it wouldn't work on a PlayStation. Okay, so I mean, there's some psychology to that, the desire for fame, I suppose,
Right.
but I'm not sure how effective that's going to be in a
Jenny cheated
in
on me.
infinite.
Like you can see their life experiences as
Yeah.
it plays out.
Okay.
Jenny Smith is a slut. Like, like
Yeah.
oh no, this will be forever named that. I named a star after you. Really? What's it named?
Yeah.
Like-
The internet also likes Hitler, so
oh yeah.
yeah. I just see just this perverse universe.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, it could be bad. I mean, hopefully they have enough filters in or a reporting system at least. Like, is this offensive? Yes, and then they just would, without informing the player, they would revert it back to its original name, so he wouldn't know that he lost the naming. Or they could even make it so he still sees it as that name, so he doesn't know at all. But yeah, they're going to have to figure out. Well, he already seems to have very little concept of how people share things on the internet, so maybe he doesn't know how bad it's going to be.
And do names have to be unique? I wonder.
I would
I mean,
assume not.
you would-
That
In an infinite universe, it'd wind up being named like our stuff then
Right.
too.
Like Gmail addresses.
Yeah.
Try finding one that's a single word in the dictionary.
Or exoplanets where they don't even give them word names anymore. They just give them
like a number series.
the letters of the device or astronomer that discovered it and its coordinates. That sounds just beautiful.
I wonder
Sounds
if
good
the
to me.
names aren't even generated until you discover it, and then it just goes through its library and picks the next one.
I mean, dude, if the planet's not even generated, I hope its name's not.
Right, that's true. So it just randomly generates a name for you. That'd be cool if that one's offensive accidentally. So you just leave it. It's like, no, I
Well,
didn't name it.
statistically speaking, it has to happen eventually.
Right.
It says that all of the planets will have Latin names by default,
Right.
which I don't know exactly what that means.
Yeah, I feel like most of the stuff in the sky right now has Arabic names. So
Yeah.
when did we decide that Latin astronomers did it all? Whatever. It's a
Yeah.
game.
So we do know from the Latin names that this is taking place in our universe.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the first clue to the
There you go.
secret. Like it's the Latin people know.
Right. And it ends up that the Latin survivors are the ones that seeded life on the
Yeah.
planet.
You thought it was a dead language.
Right.
Mm.
Is that on the poster?
Yeah.
Okay. There will be combat situations. This is news. We knew that already. You will have a compass, which I'm not sure what it says. Like, is there a north? Is north really important?
Yeah, and by what principles do compasses operate?
I mean,
You know.
maybe
Right.
the compass has your ship.
That's about the only thing that would make sense. A ship, a space station,
Yeah.
something, perhaps a saved waypoint.
Yeah.
That would make sense. I don't know.
Like, or a map. I mean,
Or just the fact that it's a game and you need to know where you're going, especially if you're doing, interstellar travel. Who cares how the compass works?
I mean,
it's
the compass
way
could
do I
also
go?
could be like your next accomplishment, like because the one game changing thing you can do in each planet. Like it's in this direction. So if you go there, then you find out what you need to do, rather than words come up to tell you.
Right.
That will be the replacement for storytelling and narration, a compass marker.
Adding to the list of things that are procedurally generated, rooms. What does that mean? Like space station rooms?
Yeah, they haven't really showed any. Well, they've shown some structures that are randomly generated on planets, like the refueling station, and those could have some rooms in them. But they haven't really shown any video that I've seen of like you walking into a room. So I don't know. But I'm sure like the space stations might have a few rooms you can go into, just for funsies, because there's no people there, which I don't understand. Like, who are you buying this fuel from if there's no NPCs?
Even if you weren't going to, so just other players. Even if you weren't going to show all the other players, as an MMO would, then you should at least show them in the space stations, right? The social hubs.
Yeah, the video has like 8 people landing on a gas in a station, but like the way they describe it, you'll never see more than 2. Like, are there ships that are just AI flying around so you can buy them? Like, that's their whole point of existence, is you follow, like, you're at a gas station, like, oh, I like that ship, now I gotta follow it all the way back to the space
just
hub.
Follow this guy for an hour
Just to hope they part so I
yeah.
can buy it. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's that, or that randomly spawned ship you started off with that has all the stuff you ever needed to complete the game just gets ganked the first time you stop anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Sounds splendid.
That would be the first thing I would want in multiplayer, is ship stealing. So you have to like have a security.
Oh, that's the only thing I would ever do.
Because you have to leave your ship. So
at some point.
Right. So you have to leave your ship to get their ship. So like you like put some charges on your ship, blow it up, and take someone else's ship just for fun, and then fly over them as you're leaving. Start the trolling.
Right. On that note, if you die on the ground, you will respawn at your ship.
Which I assume means you would lose resources, because they have to have some sort of checks and balances.
Right. You lose everything you're carrying.
Right. So you have to go there.
That's a bummer, because then once again you lose your randomly generated space armor that now you don't get it.
I think you would keep the armor, but you would lose the resources you had gathered.
I don't know. It sounds like Minecraft. Like you're gonna go back to where you died and be a little pile of cubes.
Oh yeah.
Waiting for you. Could be. I don't know.
And then you have to find out where you died to find your stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be interesting as far as you need to upgrade your suit, your space suit, to go into certain environments. So does that carry over if you die?
I would assume
Do you
the
have a
suit.
backup?
I would assume the suit carries over, just because you wouldn't want someone to set themselves up for failure, and the first time they die, they're in an area that they can't build another suit for. So I assume the suit will stay with you, but you lose your resources. Now, going back to get your resources could be a fun little, like, where did I die again? I went due north from my place, so I'll go due north again and try to find it again.
That's true. Dark Souls did something like that, and I stopped playing it.
You have to have some sort of risk reward system. You can't just be like, oh, I got all my resources, I need to die so I can go back to my ship. That would be unfun. You have to have some sort of reason to get the blood pumping when you're getting ready to die.
Oh, right. Sure, yeah. Otherwise, yeah. I mean, although, especially if the combat sounds like it's simplified anyway. And you think it'll just be auto attack too? So you get to just walk.
You
into
lock
an area?
on to the things you're shooting. I don't know if there's really any aiming.
First person shooter with aim assist?
They haven't showed any videos. Like, the first 2 videos had an arm being extended and shooting a laser, and they haven't showed any videos since. So I'm not sure how the combat's evolved, or if they decided that they won't show your hand shooting. So I'm not sure. But I know that for the ships, it's lock on and shoot.
I don't know that first person shooter is even an accurate.
Yeah, first person view.
Yeah. Okay. First person.
POV.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. So also, if you're going to leave your ship, you need to take oxygen levels and inventory into account.
Also, there is an inventory max.
Yep. This is from Game Master.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oxygen levels and inventory. So your character breathes oxygen. Another clue.
Sign.
That's good. We do that.
Yeah. So they have their own table of elements, but they do have oxygen.
Right. So the Yeah, so that's. I wonder if you have like extra oxygen packs that you can bring, or if it's just like when you get a third of your oxygen gone, you have to start heading back to give yourself a third of a cushion in case you
Mhm.
run into some mess or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it sounds like there's potentially that obligatory water level from every Sega Genesis game that just broke the game. You may land on one or two of those.
Right.
Yeah, or some plants might have oxygen present, so
Yeah.
it won't be an issue. But right, if that'll keep it from you getting too lost because you only have so much oxygen.
Mhm. Have you ever heard of a game called Dragon Realms?
I haven't.
Dragon
I'm
Realm?
not surprised if you haven't. This is back when I first got my own access to the internet. Right, there was a MMO, which was all text based, and at the time I thought it
Oh.
was the greatest thing ever.
Was it a mud?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Mud.
I've played muds.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Delusions of Grandeur was the mud that I played in.
right.
So I'm familiar with what you're
And
describing.
They did this thing where if you're carrying a bunch of stuff, like, you can carry whatever you want, pretty much. Essentially, I mean, there's a limitation, but there wasn't a number value associated with your inventory, and if you were carrying too much, you would just become exhausted very quickly, and it would take you a long time to transit.
Oh, you
And,
just walk slower or something like that.
You don't walk slower because it's all text, and you would type east or west or something, and you would go it's like a grid system. But you would get somewhere, and you'd be like, "Oh, I'm so tired." And you tell him go north, and your character comes back, "No, I can't.
Yeah.
Too tired."
Well, if you're mining iron, it would be interesting how they would even justify how much weight you have. I mean, your suit does control gravity, so you could just argue that as you bulk
Right.
up more iron, you just set your suit to make you lighter.
That would be convenient. I mean, in reality, if we were ever going to have spaceships that do this kind of travel, that we're not talking about propulsion fuel at this point, right?
Well, I mean, the concept that your ship goes to Earth and back up, I mean, that's not how it ever. You'd have a spaceship and then a ship that would do ground exploration. The fact that your ship can travel the galaxy and land and be aerodynamic,
Right.
like you have to, at some point,
Yeah.
go.
that's-
Yeah.
In my mind, I can't see interstellar spacecraft launching from the surface of planets. It doesn't make sense in my head. Like, I feel like,
Well, if you could control gravity as a switch.
yeah, I think the first thing we'd have to
Perhaps-
do is find out what it is then.
If we knew how gravity worked, we can create something that repulse gluons or whatever the theory they want to throw out nowadays.
I showed my nephew the new Star Wars preview, and the first thing he asked was, "How's the Millennium Falcon flying without wings?" And I was like, "Ha ha!" And I was like, "Oh wait, that's a good point. How is it flying without wings?"
Right.
I mean, in modern aircraft, thrust is mostly what keeps them aloft. Like,
Yeah, but it didn't have wings. It didn't have the surface area.
gimbal
Right.
thrust vectoring. It's how
Right.
rockets
It didn't
steer.
have- okay.
Okay.
Like, that's
It didn't have that either. But
Yeah.
okay, that's great. We're going way too far off. Okay, there are going to be trading posts in this game.
Right. From what I understand, that some trade posts will have things at different prices. So if you're you can like go from one and sell at another for a profit. So that's very that's
So it's like that game Drug Wars. You ever play Drug Wars?
no.
no.
I haven't, but Eve. This is like Eve's bread and butter is finding things at cheaper prices and moving them
Right.
for sale. So, I mean, someone could make a game of that where you just are constantly trying to make profits. But then, if you find these two places that you can buy from one and sell to the other, what's your motivation to go any farther?
Yeah, like I better
Yeah.
just stack all the money I'll ever need right here,
Right.
and then
And then just buy the resources you need rather than explore. Which, I mean, that's where you start getting into classes. Like, there's no class system, but you are kind of creating your own class for what you do, like what you decide, how you decide to make money.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're not trading with other players, as far as we know.
From what I read, I have not seen that, but I mean, it is an information sharing MMO, so that would be one of the things you could do,
Right.
and that'd be pretty easy to take care of.
You have an auction house of sorts.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, but if it's so infinite and you only see a couple players every once in a while, there'd be. I mean, your stuff's gonna be on sale for a while.
Right.
So I have a feeling that you're just gonna go somewhere and it says if you want like Skyrim, where there's some people are buying things for higher prices than others, so you could just go to the highest seller to sell your iron daggers. But for this, it'll be your resources.
Right. You know what I would love to see is prices affected by in-game events. So say, for example, a big faction war started. All of a sudden, all the resources in that area became super expensive.
Right, like all the things that were military necessary, or if like there was a problem with a water plant, so all of a sudden like if water was a resource, like that went up in price.
That's what I was thinking. Oxygen will be the one. And since it's all random, like, who knows?
Like
Maybe the universe chokes itself to death because
Yeah,
a randomly generated oxygen conflict.
Right, like such and such planet's oxygen generator is down, so they are buying oxygen at a higher price, and then you can move it and like have like a news banner telling you these things. That'd be interesting. I mean, it's not in the game, but that'd be a good layer to put on, and it should be relatively easy.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
feel like we're writing fan fiction now.
Yeah, we're at that point. Okay, let's see. More news from Game Informer. There's no reward for killing creatures, and so there's no incentive to wipe out everything you see, but you could if you wanted to.
Yeah, you have the agency to do so, but it's really, do you want to kill everything?
So there's no reward for killing creatures
You can't even collect hides then.
at all. Is there
What?
food? What
I
do we,
would
what do we know?
assume the only thing you could argue, like, if there's a predatorial animal, which they haven't really shown an example. They've shown animals attacking animals. They haven't really showed animals attacking you. So that's a good question. But I mean, that'd be the only reward is saving your own life. But they
Mhm.
haven't really shown an animal attack the main person.
Right.
No, none of the animals really seem to care whatsoever about the player character at this point.
So you might just feel like you're going to the zoo and all the animals are sedated, or they don't see you because maybe you're not human. Maybe you're just a little probe flying around. Who knows?
Well, that would be a nice twist, wouldn't it?
What a twist.
Hmm. Okay, you're like a ghost from Destiny.
Right. That's
Right.
yeah. And that's the twist. When you get to the center, you find it's all
The one mirror in the galaxy.
It's all a Destiny. It's all a Destiny prequel. Like you have been Peter Dinklage the whole time,
Right.
finding that one body, and then they say, "Upgrade to Destiny for $49.99." And you're like, "Oh no, this is the worst thing ever."
Says the dude who sunk how much time into Destiny?
Yeah, I already own Destiny, so I'd be very upset.
Ah, got it.
But yeah, no, I have plenty of hours on Destiny. I have 15 days, I think, last time I checked, or 20 days. 20 days maybe. It's a good game.
That's wow.
All right. So portals require a weapon or a combination of weapons to open.
Oh yeah, this is the thing Alex was talking about, where
Right.
they're going to make you have a certain type of weapon to open the portal if you want to go through the portal.
I mean, Zelda did it. I mean, Dark Souls. No, they didn't do it.
Mhm.
Darksiders did it.
And from the sound of it, it will take a different material to go through each way, if I'm reading this correctly. So if you go through a portal, you have to earn your way back.
Oh,
That's the way it sounds.
right. So you have to there'd be like a little mini game feeling on the inside, because if you die, you won't get the resources you collected on that side of the portal. So you have to actually, you can't just run in, grab stuff, and run out. You have to actually achieve
Right.
something inside. Yeah, that'd be really good.
That's exciting.
There's some actual gameplay for you, Alex.
There you go. Like Shangri-La and Far Cry 4, I suppose.
Right.
I don't know. That sounds to me like if the portals become this really bizarre thing, I see myself going through the one they make you go through to advance the story and then just be like, no thanks.
All right. Also written here, the suit is not affected by gravity. So it seems that inventory is controlled by space, not weight, which is good.
Yeah, I think they missed the opportunity there. I mean, they could have had like some variance in gravity,
Right.
so you could jump really high or not be able to jump at all, or walk a little bit slower. Like,
Oh, right. Yeah. So everything is Earth gravity, essentially.
right? Like, I think that's a missed opportunity where they wouldn't have had to make it an infinite possibility of gravities, but it could have been like slight variance. So you could have, like, oh, I like to
Right.
go here and jump really high and jump over brontosauruses and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Or they jump over you.
That'd be even better.
Yay. Okay, going back to the start of the game, you start with a life pod ship without a hyperdrive. And it's interesting that they say life pod. This is from the Verge.
That's very Eve too, where like if your ship blew up, you're in a life pod.
Right. So it's implied that you start after your ship is blown up and you become stranded on this planet.
Yeah, like the game starts in the wake of some calamity. Probably your civilization has been wiped out.
Right.
It just seems that way.
Like everyone starts on the same planet and so something causes a mass extinction and their solution to the problem is to put everyone into a life pod and send them to a random point in the
To
universe.
the edge of the universe in all directions.
Hoping that one person will be able to procreate and continue their race on their own. That would be one way to interpret this. And it says here you'll need to get money to buy a better ship before you can really begin exploring.
So that'll be your first resource gathering.
You have to buy ships. You can't make ships.
Right. It's the only mechanic.
You're not a shipbuilder.
Right. You're going to have to take your life pod to a space station and pick your favorite ship, which might be the best ship in the game. Who knows? I wonder if prices will vary based on how good the ship is and how they would determine prices with randomly generated stats on ships.
I mean, you could just make each positive stat proportional
A certain
to,
money. Yeah, right. And then that'll be interesting. Like, did they get the money right? Like, it could be like, wow, these people are making way more money than we thought, and then to the point that money's pointless and everyone's just can buy any ship they want.
Well, I mean, end game in any solid RPG, in my experience, money really stops being an option.
Yeah.
Okay, going back to ships, 3 types of ships, as we mentioned before: fighter, trader, and explorer. And they can be categorized as fighters being light, traders bulkier and slower, but with heavier weapons. Exploring ships have better hyperdrives and stealth capabilities.
I mean, that's typical. This
is standard for
right. The trading ship has to have heavy cannons to protect itself from attacking ships, and it's slower, so it's not going to be doing maneuvering. It's just going to be heavy blasters. It will be interesting if there's a way to keep, like, maybe everyone uses a trader because like what you sacrifice isn't as bad as other ships. So I'm wondering how well they did the balancing. Maybe you'll find a trader that's almost as good as a fighter, or an explorer that's almost as good as a trader.
As we speculated earlier, you don't get massive ships. This is from the 6-axis. All of your ships will be quite small. You can only buy ships that are docked at space stations, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a keen opportunity for an upgrade. Like, eventually they can make it so you have bigger ships. And it seems like that would be something you could easily put in without breaking the game. And you could, because I feel like games nowadays start light so they can give the players a feeling of agency where there's like, oh, we demanded this and they gave it to us, so now they're good game developers. I think games have been starting to do that where they give you kind of a skeleton, like World of Warcraft vanilla or something like that. They give you a skeleton and then they can meet your demands, and then gives the players a sense of community and things like that.
So you're saying you anticipate like large scale ships, or?
Well, it's all contingent on if the game's popular. If the game's not popular, it just becomes a niche game that never gets a single change to it. Or if it becomes super popular and they have the money to meet new demands, it's going to be dependent on how successful the game is. Like, they can't keep dumping money into a game that they aren't selling any more copies of. It's just negative gains at that point. So I'm hoping that the game is popular enough that they can justify doing some modifications, but I'm not sure how far that will go.
I think this might appeal to the PC crowd probably, but unless they call it Call of Duty No Man's Sky. I don't anticipate a giant console.
Right. That's something I was just thinking about, where this is a PC game and we're starting to introduce more PC-like games. Like the indie developed games are getting picked up by PS4 and Xbox, more PS4. And there's slowly, the two communities are coming together, and, you know, maybe this will be a game that's has exploration being fun, or it might be where a guy thinks he's going to be shooting aliens all day and be disappointed. Hopefully they've read enough to understand that this game is not going to be their typical shooter.
Yeah, in order to make a story play out, though, you need conflict, and in a world of laser beams, you're going to have guns. So I hope that if they're going to put in some action, that it's good action, and that maybe it can appeal to the console crowd.
Right. The players are going to find something that they particularly like. For example, when Final Fantasy 14 was going under, it became a very popular fishing game because the fishing mechanics were so good, and everyone just logged on to fish. Like, I can see that happening in this game, where like something that they didn't see being fun for the community, being something that they all enjoy, and then they enhance that. Or I mean, that it's kind of unrealistic, but if I could go to different planets and fish for different fish, like that would be something cool.
And you may catch them out of the sky.
Exactly.
Mm. Are we ever going to have a No Man's Sky 2? Where do you go from here?
I think if I was going to do this, I talked previous, like No Man's Sky 2.0, where you wouldn't release the game or make anyone have to make a new purchase, but if it did morph into an MMO, because they seem like they have the structure for multiplayer that they could do it, have it where people aren't having to rebuy the game, but they could make it so you bought an expansion that made it an MMO. Like, it's a single player game, and it'd be, I can't think of a game that did something like that, but they seem like they have the infrastructure to do so inside the game, where they could make it multiplayer with just little tweaks. And I would be okay with paying $20 to get the online or the true player interaction.
Do you think that any future releases of the game will create a new universe?
Yes. Well, I think the more likely scenario is someone takes this idea, a different company, and makes it a better version. I think this game will be kind of stuck on itself. I don't anticipate No Man's Sky 2. I think they'll just have to build on the universe they made.
Right.
But another company could take this technology and make a better game.
They'll just keep making expansions.
Yeah.
Right, as far as content.
Right. It would be like a content expansion. Maybe they won't charge for it. I don't know. Like, when it comes to financing a game, when you're a small indie company, you can justify things to yourself. But if you're owned by EA and you say, "Hey, I want to spend I want to spend $10 million on a $11 million return," they might not participate in that.
Or Star Wars buys it, finds a way for developers to be able to design some worlds and make a bunch procedurally generated, and you have the most incredible Star Wars game anyone ever thought of.
Right. That'd be interesting. Each ship will have between 1 and 3 different armaments attached, and you'll be able to upgrade them. This is from Edge. Enhancements are hinted to be more interesting than simply more power or a faster rate of fire. So I'm wondering, do you find ships with 3 attachments, or can you build them as you go on?
I think you just buy the ship based on what it looks like. And maybe the specific guns have a specific look, so you can look at it and say, okay, I know this is a laser gun, and I want a laser gun. And I assume that 1, 2, or 3 would be the Explorer has 1 gun, the Trader has 2 guns, and the Fighter has 3 guns.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that would be the base model for that. And, you know, there could be passives put on the, like, you know, you might have a laser beam that slows the ship at the same time. So you can, you know, if it's trying to get away from you, you can hit it and slow it down if you're a slower ship.
Right.
So that'd be the just more power enhancements.
All right. I would personally love to have a ship that just pirate. Imagine if you can get through the game without ever farming anything.
You never land, you just keep
Yeah,
destroying and upgrading.
I've never been on a planet. That's how you do it. Okay, this is an interesting bit of news. The ship types are not explicitly defined in the game. It's merely a combination of abilities which defines its use.
I do love that idea. I think, if walking up to it in the space station, you see a ship that appears to have a big cargo bay, you could probably safely guess that it's going to be a trader ship.
Right.
That's it. I mean, that sounds very cool.
I do like games where the leveling up consists of the player becoming better and not the actual in-game player. Like your knowledge of the game is actually what makes you a better player. I always like that concept for games.
Mm-hmm. Also, here the ship can be destroyed. So if you can definitely lose your ship,
and then take a life pod somewhere.
right? And if that happens, then I don't know. It seems maybe you're just back to however you've upgraded your suit. That's where you're at.
Right. You'll probably be stuck in your solar system and then have to scrape some money together so you can take your life pod to a place or maybe you have enough money in the bank that you can just go buy another one.
I can't decide if that sounds awesome or like it introduces just an idea of complete frustration to the game.
Well, it gives you that roguelike feeling where you can have a deep connection to your ship and the ship has been with you for years or, months, and then all of a sudden you lose it. And then the next ship, it's like your first dog. The next one's never as good. So it's like, I really like this ship, but man, that last ship was like, I knew exactly how to fly it. And then like, that'll give you some connection and like loss in the game.
Or just absolute frustration when it buys you into 10 more hours of gameplay so you can scrounge together the resources to get a new ship.
Right. That's like, there'll be a 10% quit rate for losing ship. Like,
Right.
they'll be like, oh.
When your ship is destroyed, it's like Sonic the Hedgehog and all your money goes flying.
Ring spinning in the sky. Some NPC grabs all of them. You're like, oh no.
All right, so as we travel to the center of the galaxy, we already know that the life forms become more exotic, which I've heard that as a selling point, but why?
I think it's the whole sharing with the community where you can take a screenshot of what you saw and put it on Reddit and say, wow, this is starting to get crazy down here. And then see, because everyone's going to start by seeing like dogs, dinosaurs, and, antelope, stuff like that. And then when they get to the middle, it's a fish flying through the sky or a animal walking in the water, and with mechanics for moving that we don't normally see on Earth. And I think that will be another community opportunity to share, like show your best picture.
Or another opportunity to squander where it's just reskinned movement styles from the monsters you saw on your native planet. That just sounds like, except now they're covered in frills and brightly colored. Potential disaster.
And that's the spore part coming in.
Yeah,
like
exactly. The same mechanic will be used for ships, which is the further you travel to the center of the universe, the better ships you find. This sounds a bit like a dungeon crawler, Diablo, for example.
Like the gear gets better.
The gear gets
higher
better
level.
the deeper you go in.
Right.
And it also becomes more difficult.
Right. That's what kind of disappointing that you can only have one ship at a time, because maybe you had like your old faithful ship
And it just can't do it.
It can't handle it, and you can't put it in a garage so you can go back and look and like, hey, I remember when I had that ship.
Right.
So you're just going to have to actually, same scenario when your ship got blown up and you're sad. You're going to have to sell your ship and get one that you hope is better, and then you'll have all these memories of your old ship that you just have to say goodbye to.
It also makes you wonder if our own galaxy operates on that same principle, where there are just tiers of excellence. Like as you travel towards the center, everything is more exciting. Like I wonder if in this civilization, nobody travels outward. Like
Everyone's going to the middle.
yeah, like it's not a two-way street.
Well, that is the opposite of how we feel on on Earth. We keep trying to go farther from where we're at in every direction, and this has a feeling of like going home. Like you started on the edge of the universe where everyone wants to know, and now you're going to the beginning, in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of counterintuitive to how like we as people think. Like we always think we need to go out, and this game is making you go in. So that's kind of interesting.
Right. Okay. More news that's been announced. Fuel will be really expensive. and is used to travel from one solar system to the next, much like a hyperjump. So I guess that's just more reason to grind.
Right. That's going to give you the reason to have to go get fuel. And
It sounds like they want you to buy fuel as
right.
opposed to craft it.
Right. So you'll have to sell things to make it's. I kind of don't like that. I hope it's not too restrictive. I would like to not be forced to every time I do a jump to have to go land on some planets to make more money. Hopefully,
But that's the point of the game, is to explore.
Yeah, so that way you can leapfrog your way to the center of the
right.
galaxy.
You can explore,
enjoying the
but
sights.
at the same time, you should be able to explore what you want to explore, like not just feel feel the necessity to grind somewhere you don't really want to be.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's that corrosive environment upgrade, right? Like you have to go to a planet that has this resource and it's corrosive. Limit your fuel.
And there's
force
no
another way.
oxygen, so you have to have your own oxygen tank. Yeah.
How does a completionist approach this game? So say you go into a solar system with 8 planets. Do you feel obligated to explore this entire solar
think-
system?
I'm less of a completionist than Alex, so he might be able to answer this, but I would assume that at least you want your name on each planet.
I don't know. That's my huge dilemma of this. It's like when I play a game, I play the living crap out of it, right? Like I want all my money's worth. So I want to go to every nook and cranny, and that's just not going to happen here. I don't care if my name is on every planet. Like that's absurd.
Is there a completionist community that might form because one person can't do it, and just have a community that's obligated to
Like a guild? Some sort.
Yeah.
like their whole, like they like have meetings and discuss how a certain part of the universe hasn't been touched at all. Like there's a big hole, and we need to go there.
That sounds though like it forces you into a third party client if it's not true multiplayer, right? And I'll tell you, I am not hardcore enough of a gamer to operate anything more than the system I am operating, right? Like if I'm playing a multiplayer game, I'm not communicating with the other
You
players
can-
on some alternate
You can talk to up to
software.
16 people on PS4. So you just join most in-game chats are completely like no one does that. They
Oh,
always
yeah.
they form PlayStation.
Teenagers shouting racist obscenities,
They,
right?
they form PlayStation parties. So you'll be able to talk to at least 16 people, and then that would be where you like. It's going to be hopefully people like friends get together and like while they're playing the game, they also socialize so they can talk about like ask questions and talk about things while they're playing.
Okay. So lots of farming. Great. More news. A quick and cheap way to get fuel is to go down to a planet and do some mining, but you can also make money other ways and use that to buy fuel. So you can mine fuel or buy it. That's good to know.
Right. I assume there'll be scanners, and then every time you see a planet that has fuel, it'd be dumb to skip it. So you'll just go grab the fuel, max your tank out, and then move on.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder, the making money thing, if there's no benefit to killing stuff, like maybe it's exciting what they're going to do, but I don't see it. Fetch quests, I suppose.
It'll be selling resources more likely.
Okay. Fuel and cargo share the same storage.
Oh, so there'll be some balancing.
Yeah, so if you're going to go straight to the center, you're going to have to sacrifice some of your storage space.
Oh, that's going to be like you're going to make bad decisions and regret it for the rest of your life type things. Like you will like, oh, I need a whole bunch of fuel, and then you'll dump all your resources, and then you'll go to the next planet and it has a whole bunch of fuel for you. So you're like, oh man, I could have kept my cargo.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting balance, like having fuel and cargo in the same. That's a checks and balance system. Make it so you have to balance both out. I like that.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I guess coming back to there's no benefit to killing stuff. Like, in the absence of action in a game, resource management can make a game awesome in and of itself. And having to balance two seemingly very important resources, fuel and whatever else you're doing, might in and of itself make the game awesome enough that you don't have to go around blasting stuff to enjoy it.
I'm wondering how easy it is to break the system. So say there's a planet that's rich on resources, and there's another one nearby, which considers that resource very expensive. Can you then just be a taxi between those two planets?
Right. I think there'll be a finite.
Do you flood the market?
Yeah. The other thing is that you could then share that information, and since it doesn't seem like that will affect other people's gameplay, you could say, "Hey, there's a glitch right here," and you could share it without worrying about it impacting you, unless it does flood the market.
Not even necessarily a glitch, but I'm wondering how they determine prices.
Oh, like
Yeah,
if they've received a lot at that point in time.
Yeah,
and they
or
make it
if
lower.
maybe the nearest place to farm it is very far away.
Oh yeah, you can make it so the players don't sell to each other, but if they sell a whole bunch to one station, it lowers the price.
Right.
So that would make it competitive, where you're trying to find that niche area that doesn't have any hydrogen or whatever.
So you could tank the fuel market and turn it from a 40-hour trip to a 5-hour trip to the center of the galaxy. Just
Oh,
Snap
so make
the
it
entire
fuels
thing.
cheaper because they
Exactly.
sold enough fuel. Yeah, that'd be. Yeah, I mean that'd be a way a community could actually work together.
Right. More news from Game Informer. In ship combat, different weapons have different specialties. Lasers specialize in destroying shields. Plasma projectiles do damage to ship's hulls. Torpedoes are more powerful, but travel slowly and could possibly be avoided. There's no ammo, but you will have a cooldown.
And it's kind of paper rock scissors. Like if you're going to get something with a thick hull,
Right.
you have to pick the right one, and then the cooldown. I mean, that
This is
makes it,
starting to sound like TIE Fighter, the way they describe it.
which could potentially make it incredible.
That would be awesome. TIE Fighter is a great game, and
yeah,
I recommend it.
everyone should play it, including me.
Well, I don't know how much it holds up. I need to revisit that.
I believe it's available for free right now on archive.org.
That's good to know.
I think basically the entire DOS games library
Hmm.
is all of those copyrights are expired.
So I wonder if
However
you
that
can
works.
enhance cooldown times and stuff like that, so you can shoot faster.
Maybe that gets into the interesting upgrades you can get. Like, although it did say not just power and firing rate, but I mean, I for some reason take that to mean status effects and different visual effects.
Right, I assume it's status effects, like you could put a burn on or something like that.
Well,
like a dot.
Going back to the old games, something interesting that X-Wing and TIE Fighter do is you have a energy generator on your ship, and you have the power to direct where that energy is going. So you can send it all to lasers, send it all to shields, send it all to propulsion.
And that's in game.
Or-
Like that's
yeah.
while you're playing, like you don't preset it, like you adjust it
Right,
as
you
you're
can
playing.
adjust it as you're playing.
God, I need to play that again.
It's a genius.
I wonder if it holds up.
I wonder if this game would do it similar, but instead of doing it in game or while you're fighting, you preset it before you take off or something like that. So you have to hope that you have the right settings. I mean, it'd be nice if they did it while in combat, but on a controller, it'd be limited.
Yeah, on a controller will be difficult because those games pretty much used every key on the keyboard.
Right. So it'd be something you preset and then hope that you had the right combo for the next thing you
Mhm.
fought. That'd be interesting.
Is it safe to assume that this game won't have a pause button?
Yeah, there's no save, no pause. It's any game that usually has continuous save. There's rarely a save, especially when it's live action,
Right.
like rather than like a turn-based RPG. So yeah, I would assume there's no save. Like you just
Hmm.
park in your ship and
So I just point I point the nose of my ship at the center of the universe, then go to work or go to sleep, and then come back. And,
Well, since you have to use fuel to go between solar systems or galaxies,
but
I wonder.
you have momentum.
I wonder if you can't, like, if you're in a solar system and you start going in one direction, you'll actually never reach the next solar system.
Mhm.
It'll just have you infinitely go in an empty space until you actually hit hyperdrive. So you can't actually just drift in space. Like you'll be drifting in space, but it'll be just void. Like you won't hit a wall, but you'll just basically hit nothingness.
Yeah, from the videos,
That's
it looks like the interstellar travel is not going to follow the same flight dynamics as interplanetary travel, which is probably good. I think the planetary distance scale they had to tone down to make the place look cool and be playable. But I think that they're working on having stellar distances be somewhat realistic, which in that case, then traveling as fast as anything we had launched at the time, Voyager 1 is going to take 75,000 years to get to the next star if
Right.
it's headed towards the closest star. So.
Mhm.
So there is that to work against. I think that's something they're trying to make intact by all the interstellar travel they've shown on it, all the videos being in some sort of hyperdrive. So unfortunately, no, I don't think you'll be able to, set it on coast and come back in a week and be there.
Do you think that someday we will have evolved the propulsion technology to the point where somebody can just go out and grab that probe and put it into a museum? Like, let's just take a warp trip, and
I
Yeah.
don't think that something
Because
like that would
you
come
can-
down to propulsion.
you can outdate it very quickly
It's
if you have faster than light technology. Just
imagine what you would need though to find out where the hell it is, right? Like we can
Mhm.
find out where we are based on GPS
Right.
because they're spread really far apart in reference to where we are on the face of the planet.
I'm gonna guess that its location is pretty well known.
Not really. Voyager's location?
Yeah.
Its last known trajectory was kind of known, but no, it's kind of just going.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's no points of reference now to actually see where it is. They've turned off almost all of the sensors on the Voyager spacecraft so that the batteries can still last.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going. It was 77 they launched, so you're looking at 38 years on one battery.
Right.
So they've
Duracell.
there you go. They're in
Energizer.
safe mode right now, I think. Sleep mode.
Okay, great. Okay. See, we've talked about all this already. Oh, currently, you cannot steal ships. This is from Game Informer. Well, that's upsetting.
Yeah, because again, the poor schmuck who lands on the bummer planet is just, at least he could have stolen something before,
Right.
in
This-
my
this is not
imagination.
GTA space.
Damn it.
Has the
Let's do that.
potential to be, like I said, hopefully this is just a skeleton for
It's going to come in a future update.
right. Hopefully
Mhm.
this is just a skeleton for the game that players want. And stealing ships, I mean that'd be the ultimate troll. Like you log in and you left when you logged out you weren't with your ship. You're like, well, what's the worst can happen? No one's gonna land on this planet. And then you realize you don't have a ship, which is interesting. If your ship can explode, that means it's the assumption you're always in a pod. So I still wonder if we actually if we are actually humanoid in this game. We'll see.
I think humanoid, yes. I think that they've nailed it down to that because you got two appendages. You got arms and legs. That's the arms on the table thing.
Yeah.
Fucking it all up.
Somebody have a cell phone on the wire or something? Okay. We mentioned it briefly before, but there are NPCs known as the Malevolent Force. This is a robotic army that attempts to maintain the balance of the universe and will do that if it means attacking you.
Right. If you start killing creatures or taking too many resources, it'll be the actual combat of the game. So
There's no player-to-player combat as far as we know.
no. So this will be. I mean, I think you can engage in combat with other, ships in the sky, but I'm not sure if they'll attack you or if it will be the malevolent force that attacks if you start attacking things. But yeah, so I mean that'll be fun. I mean, you start killing a whole bunch of animals, and then is there a reason to kill the malevolent force? Because I haven't said that. Maybe you can farm from them.
So you have like a star level, essentially.
Right, Grand Theft Auto style, yeah.
I wonder what's malevolent about maintaining a balance. You know what I mean? Like, if you kill too much or extract too many resources, they come and stop you. That sounds like quite the opposite of malevolent. The only feedback on them is that their name is absurd.
It's all about perspective. You never know.
They're trying to remove agency from the world, and then you're trying to, like, freedom of choice. Like, if you want to kill the animals, you should have the right to.
And these, out of everything in the universe, these are the things that are not procedurally generated. So it'll be like an NPC in a game, or like a boss where they have a set strategy they use, or something.
Right, so you don't have some Uber. You get a bad roll on the random generation, and it's like an epic boss. But I wonder if that will go into the whole Grand Theft Auto star system, where like if you start messing up, they send a couple drones.
Right, and they send the big ones.
Yeah, they send like once you get to 5 stars, it's just like
Mhm.
they're sending tanks after you.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how their AI works.
That really is the only way I can envision it, though, is Grand Theft Auto cops, which, I mean, they're cool, right?
Yeah.
Then if you get bored exploring, you just explore too much.
Start shooting stuff.
There you go. Lose all your
Mhm.
gear.
And I think it's safe to assume that you get something from killing these guys.
Ah, there you go. A new grind element to the game. Like, I'm tired of farming resources.
Right.
I want to farm malevolent.
Right, and then you just have to lose them because they're essentially infinite.
There you go. Back to
Right.
fan fiction.
Okay, this force is affiliated or can be affiliated with different factions, right? Am I reading this right? Yeah.
Yeah, you can if
If-
you do things to help certain factions.
Or no, there are different factions in the game. So there's a race of traders, for example.
Right, and if you help them out, then they'll
Right.
like I think you can start summoning ships to help you. So if you have a high enough affiliation, you can have it so you have a squadron behind you helping you do attacks and things. So that's some gameplay mechanics for you, Alex.
Yeah, it could be interesting. They've been so good at forcing us to speculate about the game that I still think like, okay, well, if you can't even tell what faction you're associated with, why do you care about your association? This is the big dilemma I have on that.
Well, and if it does go into a MMO style, will like your affiliation end up because they can make it so if you're highly regarded by one faction, you can't be highly regarded by the others. So when they
Right.
go into multiplayer, your affiliation would be like your factions that you pick.
Oh, that's a glorious speculative idea that they want to give 6 months after the game's release for everyone to settle into the universe. And then once everyone's settled in and naturally fallen out into factions, now divide them and they're at war with each other. Brilliant. I love it.
All right, you heard it here first.
We see the future.
If you do have a good status with that faction, you'll be able to call on them as AI wingmen. That's pretty interesting.
Right. So if you get in trouble with some malevolent force, you call on your wingmen and
Right.
have them get blown up while you run away.
There you
Exactly.
go.
That's what AI is for, right?
Yeah. Do a barrel roll. I see that happening.
At the center of the game, there's something called the Atlas.
Right. That's
What do we know?
Well, we know nothing except it looks like an obsidian shard. But
Mhm.
the name that they give it an atlas, which makes you think map. Maybe it points you to another atlas. Like
Right.
that's like of all my fan fiction, that's one I hope would be interesting. Is like when you get there, it says go here, and then everyone has to work their way to that one, and then it says go here, and then you slowly have to like go like it's moving groups of people to different locations, and they're all trying to find some
Right.
more information.
So for every Atlas you come across, it's an extra 40 to 100 hours of gameplay.
Right. Or one atlas can point you to 4 atlases, and then everyone goes their separate ways to get information from
Mhm.
that. So they can start building a community, working together to try to find all the atlases.
I would call that satisfying.
Oh, yeah.
That in itself could be its own reason to play.
Yeah.
More speculation, but I mean, it's called an atlas for a reason. I'm just interested in what the reason is. We'll find out about
Right,
40
I mean,
hours after the game
That's a
launches.
pretty safe assumption, is that it is going to provide a map or some sort of set of directions to something else.
Right. And we'll find out exactly 40 hours after the game launches what that is, because
Right.
there'll be groups of players working together to get to the middle together.
Right. They go on shift work.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. This game will not have any quests or missions. Everything you do is of your own volition. And the hope is that your natural curiosity and the richness of the worlds presented will be enough to keep you interested. This is a game of exploration, which we've already discussed. The game will have an encyclopedia where you can view all the rare creatures you've scanned. Okay, so that may apply for ships as well, if you want to get nostalgic.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
about your ships.
that'd be great. I wonder if you can also see every animal that everyone else has scanned. So like, here's the ones you've scanned, and here's all the ones that have been found. I mean, that'd be a big library to have to keep, but I'd be interested in seeing, like, if they have like genus of each animal, so like they like connect them somehow.
That would be interesting.
I suppose that could even add a somewhat cooperative element if there are going to be species on a planet that will attack you. If another player's gone there and scanned it, perhaps in looking up that planet, you could see what they've discovered there and whether or not it's worth your risk in stopping there. So that could add its own thing.
Like Demon Souls, where you could leave notes about, like, if you could leave notes about planets, that'd be interesting. It's like high resource, low danger, or run out of oxygen quick. Like quick,
Right.
Under 140 letters or something like that.
Tweets. I think there is a way to do that. God, it's got a name. I'll remember it later. Twitter.
Twitter. Oh, yeah. Have Twitter and No Man's Sky linked together. Each
Yeah.
planet has its own Twitter page.
Hashtag fuel.
Hashtag fuel.
Okay, so as far as traveling to the center of the universe, the game developers have stated that there will be a compelling reason to head in that direction. Aside from them just saying that that's where the game is.
Right. I wonder if that compelling reason is because you get better ships and better weapons and better. I mean, like, the only reason to go closer to the middle is because your ship gets cooler.
That probably is going to describe most players. They just for the next upgrade.
Yeah, it's because you're bored. That's the compelling reason. Like, well, everything out here sucks. Better keep
Right.
going.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a better ship in the middle.
Okay, hidden in the universe will be ancient artifacts, which could reveal the secrets of the universe.
That's the story.
So this is the storytelling element
that's-
of the game.
Demon Souls, Dark Souls did it where they don't really tell you
Right.
too much. You visually assess.
You got to piece it together for yourself.
Right. And then you can come up with your own lore.
And that could be the hat tip to the completionist as well. Like, hey, we didn't design all of these worlds; they're randomly generated, but we did hide goodies where you can flesh out the entire universe. I think there might lie the completionist appeal to the game.
You could contribute your findings to a game, like a community-based encyclopedia of information. Like you basically form an online museum of things found. So it's like, oh, I found this ancient ruins on this planet. What does that imply? Things like that.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Rosetta Stone of sorts.
Language learning software that everyone quits using?
Exactly. No, like the actual one.
Oh.
Okay. If going back to the GTA star system, so the malevolent force will attack you if you upset the balance of the universe, but if you're in a solar system, each of those has its own little police force and will come after you if you destroy other ships.
And then
Interesting to know.
and there's no way to get your stars taken away. So you'll just
Right, so you permanently just get kicked out of that system.
Right. I mean, that'd be a good place if you could farm ships you've destroyed. Like just wreak
Right.
havoc.
Well,
in
there
one
has to be
area.
a reason to destroy ships then.
Right.
You would just gain everything that they had on them or something.
Right. So then, whenever you need to destroy more ships, rather than like ruining your reputation anywhere else, you just go back to that one and
Go back where they already don't like you, but if it's going to cost you fuel to jump to that
Oh, yeah.
location,
so there's a balance system.
yeah. God, and imagine being all wanted in a solar system, and now you have to farm fuel. That sounds like a mess.
Well, you did it to yourself. Now, I wonder if that persists through death.
I would assume so. That'd be a fun game you could actually play with your friends. Is all go to the same place, and then like you have to
see who lasts the longest.
see who lasts the longest. Start killing things and see who lasts the longest, and you have to keep killing every minute to get it for it to count or something like that.
Mm-hmm. We already know that there is something to be lost from death, and so I wonder if that's the risk and reward from attacking other ships.
Yeah, I assume that there's a bank that like so if your ship blows up, you lose everything that was on your ship, but hopefully you have some place that you can put your gear rather than like if your ship blows up, you start at scratch other than your suit upgrades.
You mentioned a bank earlier.
They've mentioned that there's a bank system. So
is that on the ship, on your personal ship?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure, but I would assume that if they're saying bank, that there has to be some place that you can put your stuff without risk of losing it. But you'd have to like leave it where it was or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we've covered just about everything. Other little tidbits that they've announced. The player character looks different than anything else you'll see. Okay, so that would imply that you're not randomly generated and that everyone looks the same, more or less. The first time you see another player will be the first time you see what you look like. But you will only ever see the suit.
Okay, so it sounds to me like we're looking at a galaxy or universe in which one species has been scattered among the stars following a calamity. I guess going back to the life pod thing.
Right, that seems to be the case.
You know, you'd figure then that it would want to be actually multiplayer, because I don't know, if I were separated from all humanity and forced to, go through the stars to find something, I'd be interested in saying at least hi to the first person I saw.
Yeah, I think his original vision was not to be multiplayer, but there's just such a high demand for it to be multiplayer that they've kind of caved in on it.
Right. Well, it kind of has to be.
Right.
With the way games are these days.
I mean, they've set up a world that's perfect for multiplayer, and then the first thing they came out of the bat was it's not true multiplayer.
I mean, you could argue the same for Elder Scrolls, and although they finally went multiplayer, I haven't played it, but it doesn't seem appealing to me whatsoever.
It just announces it'll go free to play soon, so.
Ooh, it must be excellent.
Yeah. Well, it'll probably be freemium, I guess we should say.
Right. Okay, so it's been said as well, there will be a way for players to communicate and leave little messages. And there will be a place to leave them.
I assume the messages will be from preset words, so you have to like select what words you're going to pick. You can't just type out, Jenny cheated on me or whatever from the Jenny cheated on me planet.
Right. Oh, that would be nice.
Or leave phone numbers. You just leave your ex-girlfriend's phone number somewhere.
Is this what people are doing? Are people doing this sort of stuff in other online arenas?
I haven't seen any game where because there's all kinds of games where you can name things or write letters, but it's always pre-selected. You have to pick from a preset of words to decide. So, like, I don't know how they're going to let you name unless they have you pick from words that already exist or something like that.
Right, they can do like, I know what WoW does this. If you can't think of a name for your character, you can have one generated at random. And if you don't like it, just push next. And then you just, that could be how they do it.
I wonder, in a fantasy game, it makes sense. There's like a certain fantasy phonetic thing going on.
Right.
Where like your character's not going to be auto-named Steve. I wonder how it works in a space game. Like, what do space names sound like?
I don't know, but they have said the thing about Latin words. I guess.
So it's going to be some huge analog to the Roman Empire or something.
Exactly.
Awesome.
This is an alternate universe where the Romans conquered space travel and populated the universe.
And they got sent to the edge of the universe and had to get back to the middle
Right.
for whatever reason.
Right. Okay. Post-launch, in the form of expansions or updates, we'll see more extensive ground vehicles or more extensive terrain deformation, ground vehicles, and a more traditional multiplayer. Okay, so the multiplayer will flush itself out eventually.
There it is. Maybe they are. Maybe they are
They
deliberately going.
They have been listening.
Immediately post-launch, they're going to let people get settled. And then once the game's established, they're going to say, all right, guys, have at thee.
Do you know any examples of games that started off single player with the intention to go multiplayer later?
I've seen in a Battlefield game, they released it with a very limited multiplayer mode, which is confusing. It was Battlefield Bad Company. It had one limited multiplayer mode, and then a month or two following release, they actually opened it up to multiplayer, which in itself was confusing because Battlefield's been a multiplayer series since its inception. That's the closest I could think of.
Right.
Going back to Peter Molyneux, his new game Godus was supposed to be a single player game to start, and then they were going to introduce multiplayer. And as usual, his promises have not fell through, so it's still single player. Don't Starve. It was a single player game that they actually, people who made it said there was no way to make it multiplayer, and then there was actually a mod that someone came out with so you could play multiplayer.
Okay.
So it should have been multiplayer to start. That was the great thing. Like, it was a good game, and then the new one, Don't Starve 2, hence 2 people, so you have 2 players that can Don't Starve. I really can't think of a game that. Usually, when a game becomes multiplayer, it's the next one. And this one will be interesting to see how a single-player game morphs into a multiplayer game on that level.
Especially when during the developer diary releases they've given, they say that making minor tweaks to the universe will destroy unrelated things. So see how that works.
That'll be super interesting. Okay.
So, are you guys going to play the game? Or give it a try?
At the very least, I'll watch some gameplay.
Yeah, I'll check it out. This isn't going to cause me to buy or upgrade hardware, but you know, when Star Wars comes out, this might get me to upgrade hardware to play it.
You need to get your fix, and Star Wars is the answer.
There you go. Otherwise, I'm cautiously optimistic. This could be the most badass game ever. I love me some space, but it could also be the most boring mess ever.
Yeah.
So
Disney buys No Man's Sky and then promises a Star Wars mod. Oh man, people would lose their minds. Yeah. That'd be the end.
No Man's Galaxy, far, far away.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely going to play it, and I'll probably hope that multiplayer comes quickly because I can't see myself I'm to the point that I only enjoy playing with other people. So if this was a single player game like Skyrim or Elder Scrolls series, about the only game I can really, or JRPGs are the only games I can play by myself. So this game, I'll probably hope that there's multiplayer, but if it came out 2 years later, I would probably have already moved on from the game, I'm guessing. Hopefully there's some good community interaction and you can get your friends to play and stuff like that.
Right. Well, they have said that you'll be able to see your friends' locations on the galaxy map. Or the universe map. They use those 2 words interchangeably.
It'd be nice if you could pull back and then see where everyone is, and like everyone, and like you slowly see a shape of a universe just by that. Like you can't see where every star is, but you just see everyone's location.
Right.
Compel you to be drawn together, and then you can see it getting heavier and heavier in the middle. That'd be pretty cool visual to have.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to make a map of a universe anyway. The whole 3-dimensional thing.
Right.
Okay. We'll be coming back with more updates as they're announced. For right now, this is everything we know about No Man's Sky.
I would expect more, because someone's going, like, they're trying to be secretive, but I assume when the game's getting close to launch, someone's going to say, hey, you need to start talking about your game. So
right.
Hopefully
you need to feed the hype machine.
Yeah, so hopefully it starts to ramp up, because if they keep this coyness about them, I'm worried that people forget about the game.
Or at the very least, 40 hours after launch, we'll start getting some announcements.
Have all the information.
Right. Well, there have been a few little pieces here and there that have come out.
Right. It's
Right.
usually when he's candid and he just can't help himself.
He just
but
can't help himself talking about
Yeah.
it. He's so excited.
Adorable Peter, or
Right.
what's his name?
I
Again?
don't know.
The guy who makes the game.
I don't know, dude. That's your crush. Like
He's adorable.
Yeah.
Sean Carter.
there you go.
Uh,
No, I don't know.
He's charming and handsome, but not that charming and handsome. Not enough for me to remember his name.
I think he's adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's making.
Well, hopefully he's listening to this.
Yeah.